Hello, this is Eric. In this video, I'm going to show you how to add extra oscillators to a semi-modular synth. This would also apply with any old analog synthesizers or pure analog synths such as the Behringer behind me. I'm not going to do this though using Rack modules or desktop LFO or fancy signal generators, anything like that. I'm going to do it using free software. Software you may already have. I'll be using VCV Rack to generate complex control voltage signals and send those out to a matrix route for my examples. Now the secret to making this work is that you have to have an audio interface with DC coupled outputs. Those enable you to pass control voltage signals to the analog hardware properly. Once you have that, you're in business, and you can get some much more interesting sounds through the complex modulation than you can from the built-in LFO types and the hardware. Plus, you free up those oscillators. So the two oscillators, for example, that you've got in your synth, they can be doing their normal work, creating vibrato, simple things like that, where the inputs on the back of the synth, like the case of the matrix route, there's like 10 other inputs. Each one of those can take in an LFO. So if you have a multi-channel system, right, with multi-channels DC coupled outputs, you could send, 6, 8, 10, whatever, all these extra signals into the matrix route, providing different modulation. The modulation of sound is what makes sounds interesting, what makes sounds complex, it's what makes sounds evolve over time. So you really should give these techniques a try. Here I've got the matrix route. You can see I've got the modulation screen on, but nothing is set up. There's no modulation at all. Let's give a listen to the sound that's coming out of it. That's very clearly a modulated sound. That's coming from modulation of the ladder filter cutoff. The signal is coming from VCV Rack, from really just two modules. An audio output module, just a standard one, because the real magic, as I mentioned before, is from the DC coupled output of your audio interface that's passing the control voltage signal. So you can pass that signal through any of the software audio output modules. What matters is the signal going in. In this case, I'm using a chaos generator. It's a module I created. It's called Strange. This is VCV Rack. Now I'm using a very simple patch here. It's not even an audio patch. This won't produce any sound other than clicks. If you want to hear the clicks, I can show you. You can turn off. There you go. Those are the control voltage signals. You can speed them up, slow them down to a very slow rate. Change the pattern itself. I should tell you what I'm using here is a module I created that is a chaos generator. It's called Strange. It's available for free, just like just about everything in VCV Rack. So that's the signal, but we want to turn that off. That's the signal that I've been hearing affecting the keyboard. We can manipulate it. There it's so fast, it's basically just like a nice little frosting, a little bit of noise. Now you may wonder why I would do this with software when it sounds a lot like, say, the sample and hold low frequency oscillator on a synthesizer. First of all, sample and hold sounds a bit different. You can try it for yourself, but it's different. Second of all, it uses an oscillator. This frees up your oscillator. Since all the pitch inputs, all the filters, pulse width controls, all these things have inputs on the back of a matrix brute and other similar semi-modular synthesizers. You put in your new oscillating signal to those, and it frees up your main oscillators for something else. So I can have the regular oscillator controlling some vibrato and still have the control over the filter. So it makes the synthesizer much more flexible. Now if you just wanted regular LFO, of course you could do that too. This is not as interesting as Chaos. But like I was saying, this gives you an extra LFO. You have good control over it. Many more controls, frankly, than the hardware LFO. Especially in something like Strange or any other complex LFO signal generator. So that's it. To recap, the key thing is you need an audio interface with DC coupled outputs. So just check your manual. Then you need a way to disable those from your main audio output so you don't hear the signal like that clicking right now. Right? You don't want to hear that. So PreSonus has this mixer. Any of the multi-channel I/O interfaces should have a mixer like this so that they can address that issue. That's my cat knocking over the tripod. Hey Sancho. You just need some basic modules in VCV. You can just add LFOs, you can add Chaos, and then you can get all these extra sounds. You can get some very unusual rhythmic patterns too from the Chaos generators. So now that you've seen how this works, I encourage you to go give it a try if you've got the right gear. See if your interface has those DC coupled outputs. Grab VCV Rack, experiment with it a little bit. There's lots of LFO generators in it. There's some that can generate multiple LFO signals at the same time. You can add those signals together and pass them all out as one super complex signal that goes to your external hardware. Or you could use a Chaos generator like Strange to generate a really complex signal, unlike just a pure random noise or a random, like a sample and hold type signal. You can get some very different sounds coming out of your gear, so go out there and do it. Make some new sounds.